of you. Just, I mean, when you were in high school, you looked like that. Always has.
Thug won't be.
I ain't afraid of it.
I know. I can tell. What?
Thank you.
Uh-oh. Somebody be hurt.
No, he went that way.
I'll see who the instigator is. I guess everybody's doing pretty good this morning. Can't hear me? Hey, Mike.
Look, I'm good.
Hey, Steve, I almost sent you a text or give you a call to make sure we wasn't in the same place. Well, I didn't, but you know what? You didn't either. So, I'm up here first.
Uh-oh.
Luke,
Just a word of warning, if you ruin my sermon, it'll be the last time you teach.
Okay, no pressure.
I bet God's got this.
Oh, the book of Luke, chapter 24. Okay. Prayer request this morning.
Remember my friend David Northern? They took a cancer polyp out this week. Still don't know what they're going to do for the after treatment, but remember him and his family in prayer.
Remember David.
And also Lynn Fry, her test came back from COVID negative, so we're going to operate her on the 6th with colon cancer.
Okay. This be much in prayer that that all goes well.
My next door neighbor, Jim Scrivener, is back in a Maryland hospital with a temperature and confusion. So remember him and his wife Jan.
Yeah, let's be much in prayer for that. That temperature doesn't, that's no good. Someone
Remember
else.
Lori Jones, I don't think she's doing too well. I've seen on Facebook that her mom had put down that
Mom. Dad.
the surgery.
It's
they
not
didn't
her
call it
dad.
what they set out to do. She's going to have a major surgery.
Vicky. I didn't see.
Now, Lori Jones.
Lori,
Hey,
okay.
that's wrong.
That is, the next one's gonna be what she said, a big surgery, they're gonna try to remove the block.
No.
Okay. Lori's been through it. No doubt about that. Let's remember her in prayer.
Remember Bill Martin's brother, Jack Martin? He's
Jack.
had 2 major surgeries this week, and they said he's like the sickest person in ICU. And an update on little Chloe Crawford, I heard Wednesday night that they got all that cancer that was in her leg, and they were gonna have to put a cadaver bone in there, but they didn't have to. They was able to use her bone and stuff. So it seems real positive what they're hearing right now.
Amen.
So just continue to remember her. Of course, it'll be a long time away and healing her.
Yeah.
We're thankful for that.
She's doing better, but she's still got a ways to go, so let's continue to pray for her. Some of you have asked already, but Dad's doing okay. He's in good spirits, and he's home. And, he's got a bed sore on his good leg, and the other leg is still healing from being broke, so got the double whammy going on there, but, continue to remember us and him in prayer. Someone else?
The girl that works for us was promised to come this morning for church service. Remember her and her family, she has children, so I just pray they do come.
Okay, good. That's good. That's good news. Okay, let's bow in word of prayer. Dear Lord, we do thank you for the many blessings. Lord, I thank you for this day, for what it means to us, Lord, the risen Savior. Lord, I thank you, Lord, that on the cross you said that your work is finished, that you're not finished. Lord, you're still working on me, Lord. You're working on all of us, Lord, making us better people. I'm so thankful. I pray, Lord, that you speak to us, Lord, through the message today. Lord, I pray that somebody can get something out of it that would help them along their journey. Lord, I pray for all all these requests that have been made, Lord. Lord, there's just so many, Lord, there's so many people in need, so many things going on. Lord, and I know that you're in control of all. I thank you, Lord, for being my Lord and my Savior. In Jesus' sweet name I pray. Amen. Okay, Luke 24:13. This might be my last Sunday school lesson. Well, let's read a couple verses here. Let's talk about this a little bit. And behold, 2 of them went that same day to a village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem about 80 furlongs. And they talked together of all the things which had happened. So we're kind of picking up right here. And this is resurrection. This is the first day of the week. And they had seen the miracles that Jesus had done. That they were disciples, so they were followers. And they had seen all the good things. And then they saw him crucified. They saw our Lord die on the cross. And then they stayed there for that next day and a half. And then this is the Sunday, the resurrection day. And the first part of this chapter, they had talked about seeing the empty tomb and people testifying and seeing somebody and seeing angels and having visions, and they just didn't know what to think about all this. They didn't know how to process it. And I can think about things like that, you know, on any day, in any given situation. There's sometimes you just have to think about stuff. You just have to sit and ponder on things. And you have to just work it out in your mind. And I think about seeing somebody in a place where you're not supposed to see them. Maybe not supposed to, or you're just not used to seeing them. You know, like you work with somebody and they're an acquaintance and you know them, but then you see them at the grocery store and you can't recognize them. They walk up to you and they speak to you and they shake your hand and you're like, I got it. Who are you? Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Then it starts clicking. Then it starts working. And I've had people do that to me. You know, they've seen me and I didn't have a clue who they were. But it's happened the other way too. And I've recognized somebody and they don't know who I am. So it takes a minute. Okay? So they're trying to process all of these events. And I believe the whole world is still trying to process these events. Who is Jesus and what am I going to do? Do I really believe that all of this stuff happened the way the Bible says it did? So let's look at 15 through 19. It says, and it came to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Jesus himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were holden that they should not hear him, that they should not know him. And he said unto them, what manner of communication are these that ye have one to another as ye walk and are sad? And one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answered and said unto him, art thou only a stranger in Jerusalem, and hast not known the things which are come to pass therein these days? And he said unto them, what things? Now think about this. If you're not careful, like I've not been careful a whole bunch of times, I want to get to the end of the story, okay? But here Jesus presents himself to them, but he doesn't introduce himself. And he asks, what's going on? Why are you so sad? What are you guys talking about? And then they look at him, and the East Tennessee redneck version of this is, you ain't from around here, are you? How can you not know what's happened the last 2 or 3 days? How could you not know the miracles that Jesus did and how they put him on trial and how the Passover Sunday and all of this stuff, how all of this stuff has happened? Where have you been? So then right then, put yourself in this situation of these 2 people that are traveling and they're walking. And you just imagine, they're walking down the road. I don't think they've got a little skip in their step or nothing. I think they're just shuffling along. They're just defeated. They're they're sad. And then Jesus says, why are you so sad? What's going on? Do you really feel like witnessing to somebody when you're in this situation? I wouldn't. But there's one of those situations where, what are you going to do? Are you going to do what you feel like? Or are you going to do what's right? So they decided, well, I guess we'll just have to tell you. Because he said, haven't you heard all this stuff? And he goes, well, what things are you talking about? But what could we tell Jesus that he doesn't already know? You ever thought about that? What could we possibly tell Jesus? Now, we do prayer requests and we do our prayers and we talk and we commune with one another. But what could we tell Jesus that he doesn't already know? There's nothing, because he knows it. But I put myself in the situation of being the dad. And I know what my kids have done. I know that they hit got a double when they were playing t-ball. I want to hear them tell the story. I want to hear them tell me about it. Think how our Father in heaven loves to hear us tell him our troubles. He wants us to communicate with him. He wants to hear us talk. And then he wants to talk and have us listen. Because he's always listening. Sometimes we get in a hurry, and I know I do. And I go through my list of prayers, and then I get done, and then I say amen, and then I'm done. Sometimes I forget to listen. So saying the prayer is one thing, but then listening for the answer to the prayer. And especially when it's not what I wanted to hear. That's the hard one. But they told Jesus everything that had happened. And he already knew everything. But sometimes we just need to say it out loud. And I do this. I'll be studying for Sunday school, and I'll holler at Nancy, and I'll say, come here and listen to this. And I'll tell her she go for it. And I go, it sounded so good in my head. It really did. But then when I say it out loud now, I gotta rephrase this. I gotta think about this a little bit more. So then let's look at verse 19, the second part of that verse. And they said unto him concerning Jesus of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty indeed. And the word before, skip the line. Concerning Jesus of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty indeed, and word before God and all the people, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death, and have crucified him. But we trusted that it had been he which should redeem Israel. And besides all this, today is the third day since these things were done. It didn't happen the way they thought it was supposed to. So they told Jesus everything that had happened. They told him the story. And then they said, we thought it was going to be, he was going to be the king. I thought it was going to end up this way. Have you ever done that? I thought, I thought it was going to be. I thought they should have. I thought it was going to be like this, but it wasn't like this. See, they had the wrong vision of what Jesus was doing, what his ministry was for on earth. And sometimes you just feel like just picking up your toys and just going home. It's not the way I wanted it to be. It's not the way I thought it was going to be. It's not supposed to be like this. I'm done. I think this is where they were. And I think this is where a lot of people in America are right now. Something happened at church, something happened in Sunday school 25 years ago, and they haven't been back since. They got their feelings hurt, and they're done. And I can tell you that I got my feelings hurt in Sunday school 30 plus years ago, and I was done. I was just finished. And then God sent somebody to invite me to come back, and just kept inviting me, and kept encouraging, and kept on. And now here I am. So you never know. You never know what that little bit of encouragement is going to do for somebody, or what it's going to do for you to be the encourager. So let's skip down and look at verse 25. So they told him everything that had happened. And then Jesus says in verse 25, and then he said unto them, O fools and slow of heart, slow to believe, all the prophets have spoken. Ought not Christ have suffered these things, and to enter into his glory? Shouldn't it have happened just the way he said? Shouldn't it have happened the way the Bible said it was supposed to happen, even though that's not the way I thought it was going to be? And that's our little disconnect here. And I work with a young man, and he's a great guy, but he just doesn't believe. And I have to be patient and wait for that opportunity. So here, they told him, they told Jesus everything that had happened. And then Jesus says to him, shouldn't it have been just like this? So then he's going to start. And then began, let's see, verse 27. And began at Moses and all the prophets. He expounded to them all the scriptures. Well, would you like to have been there for that? Man, I would like to have been there for that Bible study right there. I just want to walk behind and listen. Okay? Now, the 30 furlong, that's about 7 miles or so is what I got out of it. And if you're just walking at a normal pace, that's about 2.5 hours. And I think they weren't walking at the normal pace. I think it took a little longer than that. But that's just me thinking, okay? But he started with Moses. He started in Genesis and told all of the scriptures that were told about him and the events and how they're going to happen all the way up until when they did. And I don't know, help me out here, 200 and something, close to 300 scriptures telling about Jesus and how he's going to be born, how he's going to live, and how he's going to die. That's a lot of scriptures. That's a major Bible study right there. Let's look at verse 28. And they drew nigh unto the village wherein they went. And he made as though he would have gone on further. But they constrained him, saying, Abide with us. They constrained him. They asked him to come in. Ask is not a strong enough word. They said, please come in. They were not going to take no for an answer. So here, do we constrain people to come to church? Do we ask them? Do we say, I found something. You've got to come. And maybe if they're just totally against church, let's just have a little Bible study at work or somewhere where they feel comfortable, having a cup of coffee, roasting a hot dog, whatever it is. We have to be able to go where they are and present the gospel. But they constrained him. They said, please, you've got to stay here. I got to hear more. I want to hear you talk about this some more. We must seek after him and seek his face. He's not going to force himself on us. He's not going to bust a way in and say, you have to do this way. But if we invite him in, he'll come in and he'll sup with us. It says that he stands at the door and knocks. It's our job to go open the door. We have to do our part. We have to seek after him. And then the question is, how close do I want to be to Jesus? So, we want to say that we want to be as close as we possibly can. But is that really true? Because when I get close to somebody, just a one-on-one relationship, I'll start talking to somebody and I open myself up to them. That gives them opportunity to hurt me. Do I want to really do that? Do I want to open myself up? Do I want to tell you all of my faults and failures so you can use that against me? And I'm very guarded in that with people. But how close do I want to be to Jesus? I want him to know everything about me. And I want to have that conversation with him all the time. And I thought about it like this, if we're having, now this kind of kills it because we've got caller ID. But if I call you up and I talk to you, and you learn my voice, and you pick up the phone and you say hello, and I know who you are, and you know who I am. We don't have to say, hey, yeah, this is Richmond Thomas, you know, I go to Athens Baptist Church, you know, I work for Stanley like that. Oh, yeah, I remember you now. Not like that. It's like whenever you call your brother up, and he knows who you are immediately. Whenever I called Nancy, she called me one time at the office, and she just called me up for some reason. I don't remember what the reason was, and I said, hello. She goes, what's wrong? How does she know this? Something was wrong. Something was really wrong. But all I said was one word, and it was hello. And she knew something's wrong. She could hear it in my voice. She knows me that way. Okay? So, you know, whenever we start praying, do we have to tell God who we are? Or does he know? Do we have that relationship? Now, the flip side of that is when God speaks to us, do we know? Without a shadow of a doubt. So if we're listening and we know his voice, we can know, we can have that close bond, we can have that close relationship with him, if we choose to. But sometimes we want to keep him at a safe distance. I'll let you into this and this and this, but I'll take care of this over here. I don't want my God to be like that. I want him to be in control of every part of my life. Do you remember when it became real to you? It's not just a story anymore, but it's become real. And I think that's when you gain that salvation. And I wonder, how long did it take him to walk back? Because whenever Jesus appeared to them, and he said, you know, he broke the bread and he blessed it, and then they knew. Then they understood. And then he disappeared. And they said, man, we got to get back. We got to get back to Jerusalem. We got to tell everybody. I think they broke the 4-minute mile. I'm just kind of guessing. But I think they were in a hurry
Gotcha.
to get back. They had good news to tell, and they had to tell somebody. And then when they get back, they go in toward the 11 arm, and there's other people there. And quick as they walk in, somebody else is telling the story. He has risen. He has really risen. Simon saw him. And they said, yeah, we saw him too. We saw him on the road. And he blessed our hearts. Our hearts burning inside of us when he was opening the scriptures. Oh, he's real.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he is real.
Yeah.
He is so real. But how close is he to you today?
Mm-hmm.
How close do you want to be to him? You know, it says that if we draw nigh to him, he'll draw nigh to us. And I want to read 2 more verses in here, 44 and 45. And he said unto them, this is after they had spoken, and after he appeared to them, and he scared them to death, and then there was that verse, you know, peace be unto you. And then they got scared. Every time somebody appears and says peace, you know, everybody gets scared to death.
Mm-hmm.
But verse 44, and he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which are written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the Psalms concerning me. Then opened he their understanding, that they might understand the scriptures. Boy, I want my understanding to be open. I want to be able to read it and understand it. But it's like putting the pieces of the puzzle together. I've got all the pieces, I just can't get it all together. Open my understanding. Help me understand. Lord, what do you want me to learn today? That's the question that I have for me. Oh, he is risen. He is alive. He is well. And we need to learn how to worship him in spirit and in truth. All right. I guess that's the lesson this morning. Thank you so much.